Hey guys, welcome back to Stuff Steve Likes, and I'm going to try something different here. I'm going to try to record this in the car. Sometimes I have certain thoughts and certain ideas that I really only get in the car because I'm not at work, I'm not at home, and I have some time to kind of think. And sorry, the steering wheel's in the way, and you might hear the turn signal clicking and a little bit of road noise and stuff, but we'll see if this video takes. If not, I won't do it anymore. But I wanted to talk about collecting and collections and kind of the dilemma of collecting, because I think that collecting is fine. I think that collecting is fun and can be beneficial. You know, it can be kind of an escape. It can kind of be something that you can find community in. It can be something that that you can definitely meet people on common ground. I think so much of what's out there today is divisive, especially on social media, as far as politics and religion and all that kind of stuff can be very very biased, very divisive, very this is good, that's bad, that type of thing. I think collecting is something where you can find a community that's okay with people having different opinions, and I would say diversity of thought. Some people love, let's say, in knives. Some people like budget knives. Some people like high-end knives. Some people like automatic knives. Some people like classic, classic knives like case or something like that. And you can kind of find a community at large that just appreciates knives, but you can also find those niche communities. Same thing with music gear, same thing with watches, same thing with EDC stuff. There's all these different communities that you can find, and I think it's a good thing. I think that you finding people that you can relate to on a positive level is a good thing. So for that part of it, I think it's good, and I have a lot of friends, personal friends, that are really into watches, and we kind of have our own little side discussion group on Facebook. And if somebody gets a new strap, or somebody gets a new watch, or somebody finds something that they think is cool, they're like, hey, check this out, or hey, look at my new watch, or hey, look, I got this new strap, what do you think? So even on an interpersonal level with people that it can be good. And I think that that's a great way to build common ground. And I think that common ground is something that we're really lacking right now in our culture. Collecting is something where you can just kind of digest stuff without any spin. And because I think so many of our outlets, they like to spin everything one way or the other, where in a sense of collecting, you just kind of put the material out and people are like, oh, I think that's great, or oh, I had one of those, I didn't have a good experience with it, I didn't really like it, I sold it. Okay, that's fine, no problem. And you'll find very few people being mean, and very few people being divisive and hating on stuff, and that's a good thing. And there are always going to be those people out there that just want to be trolls and just want to, say if you don't have a, Patek Philippe, or you don't have a Rolex, then what you have is junk. Or if you don't have a Hinderer knife, then what you have is junk, and all that. But that's few and far in between, from what I've seen. Most people are very nice and very, very willing to appreciate your taste and all that. So I would say that's the positive side of collecting, really the community, and not only that, but finding something that you enjoy. Like, I really enjoy music. Of course, that's my second career, is I'm a musician, and I love music gear. I love talking, everything, especially bass gear. I'm a bass guitar player. Love talking bass gear, amplifiers, bass players, music in general. It's something that I have a deep passion for. But on the collecting side, I don't really collect because that's really almost a career. It is a career for me. So my instruments are more tools for me than collectibles. So though I do love music gear, it definitely does become more of a, when you make money at it, you find that your equipment definitely becomes more of a tool and is it very important to you, but the fact that it's important is because that it's part of your livelihood. So that's a little different spin on collecting. And I think somebody that makes a living at selling knives, selling watches, maybe they own a gun shop, maybe they own a music shop, it becomes a little bit more of a career, but it can still be a passion. So that's kind of the professional side of collecting, if you want to think of it that way. But also it's a good way to kind of escape. I mean, our lives are pretty stressful, and you can be single person, married, kids, no kids, it doesn't matter, man, woman, whatever. Like, it can be stressful. Life can be stressful. You could be a student, you could be a small business owner, you could work a desk job 9 to 5. Everything that we deal with in this world tends to have some amount of stress around it. And I think finding ways to get our mind off the daily grind and get our mind off the things that are worrying us is a good thing. And I think there's a lot of ways you can do that. But I think collecting is a way. I don't think it should be your only method of coping with it, because that can also be dangerous, and I'll get to that here in a minute. But it is a way that we can find some enjoyment and kind of appreciate the fruit of our labors and all that. So but I did want to get to kind of what I've been thinking about lately, and that's the negative side of collecting. And for me, the negative side of collecting is the obsessive part. And I think that's where it can get really dangerous. I think it can be dangerous emotionally. It can be dangerous financially, relationally. There can definitely be some negative sides to it as well. And I think for me, like, I'm a person that, having a family and everything, I've got a lot of responsibilities, financially and time-wise and things like that. So I try to be pretty responsible that way. But what I find myself struggling with the most when it comes to collecting is the mental aspect of it. And what I was finding is, and it's kind of funny because, of course, what's new is old and what's old is new. I've gone through this with different things in my life, whether it be musical instruments, whether it be knives, whether it be watches. Those are kind of my main three things. RC cars, like radio control cars, somewhat, but not as badly. But there was a time where I was pretty obsessed with that too. Now they're just kind of more fun when I can get around to it. But what I found when I had a ton of knives, like I was kind of on this knife kick, and I had all these knives, and I do have several knives still, but I have just a few of each type now. But I got on a Spyderco kick, and I bought tons of Spydercos, and I had started getting into some fixed blades, and I just had all these knives that were pretty nice. But what I found myself doing was actually having a big sense of guilt, because I can't carry 5 knives in my pockets a day. Really, the most I would ever carry would be 2 of them, because maybe have even if I'm out camping, I'll have a fixed blade and a folding knife. Or at work, I might have a small case knife and then a little bit larger knife if I have to do some bigger like cardboard cutting or something like that, where oh my goodness, got to be careful on these roads in Dallas. And what I was saying is, we have all these knives sitting in a drawer not being used. And so eventually I did sell quite a few of them, just for the simple fact that I felt guilty. It was actually stressing me out, because I was like, wow, I have all these really nice pieces, but I'm really not using all of them. I'm kind of gravitating to just a couple of pieces, and it just was kind of wearing on me mentally, like not on a day-to-day basis, but I would have a day off and I'd go look in my drawer with all my knives in there, and I was like, man, a couple of these I haven't had in my pocket for a few weeks or a month or 2 months, or it's just like, why do I have all these? I'm not using them. And I recently kind of had the same thing with watches, and I ended up having just too many pieces, and that same feeling of guilt came over me, that I had all these pieces that, and nothing super expensive or anything, but I just thought to myself, I have so many of them. It's not the dollar amount tied up in them, it's actually the fact that I just can't get to them all. I just can't wear them all. And I just had this overwhelming feeling of guilt, and I thought to myself, wouldn't I rather just have like 3 nice pieces? And I'm not talking, a Patek Philippe, a Rolex, and a IWC. I'm talking about just 3 nice pieces that I really want, that are really my kind of grail watches, or were kind of my grail watches. 3 nice pieces, and maybe a couple of cheap ones just on the side, just to have for beater watches, or nerd out watches like my Casio calculator watch, something like that. An inexpensive piece, but 3 core watches that I would wear on a consistent basis, that I would enjoy every time I put them on my wrist. And I finally decided to go ahead and sell off my collection. No, I didn't sell off all of them, but I sold off probably about 10 pieces. The reason I did that is I found one of my grails. Now, I'm a huge Jacques Cousteau fan. I always watched him as a kid. And one of the main watches he wore was a Doxa. Now, if you're not familiar with Doxa, Doxa is a very famous watch company, and they're one of the first companies to make professional dive watches. And they really have a unique design. In fact, their designs are copied by everybody else out there. And I found a gentleman on a local page selling one, and I ended up selling off most of my collection, and I ended up getting it. And I'll tell you what, the relief of selling off so many pieces, coupled with the fact that the Doxa is a watch that I've wanted, for years. So I had the peace of mind of selling off a bunch of my collection that I really wasn't wearing, and the fact that I got kind of a grail piece has been really good for my psyche. Now, some people can handle a 15 watch collection, a 20 watch collection. I just found myself that I could not do that. And so what I've ended up with is basically a 3-piece core collection. I have my G-Shock GWG 1000 Mudmaster. That's the really nice one with the sapphire crystal and the triple sensor and everything. The Seiko Presage dress watch. That's actually what I'm wearing today. Review coming for a dress piece or kind of a more formal piece. And then the one that I'll probably wear the most is the Doxa, and video coming on that one too, because that's an incredible piece. But I just realized again, as I've gone through it with instruments, as I've gone through it with knives, and now as I've gone through it with watches, that I can't handle a large collection. I just feel guilty about not being able to wear everything, being able to get to everything, and I do a lot better finding the ones that I truly love, just a few pieces, and sticking with it. So I'm wondering what you guys think about that. I'm wondering what you think about having a large collection versus a small collection. And if you want to comment below or whatever, go ahead and feel free. But that's where I'm at, and I feel really good about it. And I'm actually going to do a video on the individual pieces that I just talked about, and then I'm also going to do a video on my core collection. And I hope that you guys enjoy it, because I'm really excited about it. I think that I'm almost on a seller's high. It's like when you sell something that you felt really emotionally attached to, and it's kind of stressful, but after you do it, you feel relieved because you realize that stuff is just stuff. I can always get another watch. I can always get another knife. We build up this thing in our minds that it's like, oh, I'm emotionally attached to this thing. It's like, it's just stuff. No, I'm emotionally attached to my family. I'm emotionally attached to my friends. Those are the things that really matter. Your knife collection, your watch collection, your instrument collection, all that stuff is just stuff. And you can survive a day without it. You don't have to have it. This is first world problems. This is first world holes that we dig ourselves into. And I think that it's kind of freeing to go down to a simplified collection. So anyway, this is kind of a long video. Again, I'm just driving to work. I don't even know if the audio is really gonna come through on this, but just wanted to talk about that. I hope this strikes a chord with you, and don't take my word for it. Everybody's different. I do know some people that can handle these really large collections. That's just not me. I just can't do it. So anyway, that's the journey that I'm on, and I'll have those other videos coming up hopefully within the next week or two, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.